All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here to a brand new week live inside the cyber group room. And hey, if you're joining us once again on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, well, perhaps you could tell this is not the voice of one Fausto Pugliese. My name is Josh Levitan. Great to see Steve, John, Nina, Gene, Felix, Ron, and all of us live inside the cyber group room. Great to see all of us there. And again, welcome back on social media for right now. So, folks, Fausto's actually teaching a class right now. He's doing a very small, exclusive-based class. He started that at 8:30. He's going to be on for an hour and 15 minutes. So he'll jump on for all of us live inside the trading room shortly after the market opens up. But for right now, you got me. So VERU on the screen to begin. Looks great. Steady trend. I think one of us, Ronald W., got about 18 cents on his trade. He just got out before we started this call. But, he got in from 575, and that means that he got out just about right under 6, right? Just a little close under 6. From there, it ended up making a short little pop, but take the money and run. Just for especially for a Monday, and really for right now, VERU, one of the trades that is moving up pretty nicely for right now. But it's also shortable. It's easy to borrow, at least on my TradeStation platform this morning. So I would imagine it to be shortable elsewhere. But this could easily begin to pull back prior to the market opening up. It's on a nice steady trend, but nice trade, Ronald. Brian asking live inside the trading room for right now, why is HOTH not on the watch list? Well, we'll get to that one in just a bit. VERU, at least on the screen as we started this meeting, we'll definitely put this on our watch list to start. And for right now, let me just bring up level 4. I'll bring up bookmap here and just show you here pretty quick. So this trade ended up beginning to push shortly after 8 o'clock. Had a bunch of activity coming off news earlier in pre-market. But, right around 8:15, maybe even 8:20, it began a really quick pop, broke out off of very little volume at first. But the kicker here is that once it ended up breaking above resistance off 550, well, it held above it, but it was really this iceberg order that created that support. We had a big order on the bid at 550, and you could see to a small degree a bit of a ladder effect, as Fausto likes to call it. So this ended up making a really nice push, and a couple of our students actually ended up getting in and out of this one pretty quickly here. So for right now, at least, good call on getting out. I think it's going to continue to shake around prior to the market opening. Not much resistance on the ask. There was a bit of an order out there right around 635 that popped up momentarily, but they pulled their order. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they drop their order and look to push this down a bit prior to the open, but otherwise we'll reevaluate once the market does. So definitely for right now, the VERU at least we'll put on our watch list to start. Now, we had a question on the Hoth trade. I do want to jump back to a couple of stocks that we ended up trading from Friday, from the end of last week. The BFRI stock, the ATER trade. I know that we've been following ABBV on the swing, so we'll kind of fill you in on that as well. But we had a question from one of our members inside the cyber group room, Brian, asking why was Hoth not added on the pre-market watch list? Popped after 8 o'clock. Right after 8 o'clock, this thing started to push. So, hey, if you're logged into the trading room, you should be reading the chat, and that we've been calling it out, right? A few of our students were in and out of this one as well, earlier after 8 o'clock at least. Hey, it pays to be a member inside the cyber group room, right? So, listen, Fausto posts the pre-market watch list as early as like 7:45 Eastern at times. I think he posted this one at 49. So this wasn't moving at all prior. Once it did, we started to make the call outs live inside the trading room at least. And for right now, it's still continuing to try and push. So it seemed a bit shaky after the initial run, but ended up just making a bit of a higher high, topped off right around 170, 171. So as well as the VERU trade, at least, we'll definitely just put this on our watch list to start. This one seems to be a little bit more tame compared to the VERU, and both are really tradable. VERU, not like level 5 or level 4, probably more of a 2 or 3. This though is definitely more of like a level 1, level 2 stock as far as how we would look to categorize it in terms of volatility. All right. All right. So let's jump back really briefly, folks. We'll talk about a couple of the movers that we had from Friday, from the end of last week. I know the market ended up making a short little pop at first, but then became very boring and flat, and then from there dumped off a bit. So, we'll even talk Bitcoin, but we'll do more of that heading into the afternoon. The BFRI stock ended up making a nice little slingshot shortly after the market did open. Dropped off at first, but ended up bottoming out just above 450, and then really broke out right above 475, 480. You could see there, built a really steady trend up at the time. Well, just like we talk about here in the cyber group room, and especially featured in our main classes, the main phase one stock course that we teach, just simple timing of the day. This one ended up topping off shortly prior to 10:30, made the lower high shortly after, and then from there, what was the end result? Unfortunately, ended up completely tanking, and then just kind of continued to drop. So nice trade from the morning, this BFRI, right? Hey, nice little push. We followed it beginning from the pre-market. So hey, even if the VERU trade or Hoth ends up looking like this by the end of today, well, hey, if it can give us another chance to try and capitalize on a, quick little slingshot type of trade that we could, take advantage of in the morning, then fine, we'll take it, right? But, you don't want to hold on to a lot of these stocks that are up big. Hey, they're up big for a reason, but more often than not, they tend to drop off, or, what makes the top percent gainers list one day makes the percent losers list the next. And, well, that was the case with this BFRI. BFRI top percent gainers list yet Friday, and then here we are today, coming off the weekend Monday, and it's down 15% still. All right, what else do we have? I think we really did pretty nicely. It was on the NIO trade. It was on just a lot of the side list stocks at first. We were looking for a couple of good moves on those trades from earlier in the morning, but it was more so even like on a stock like NIO here. I saw this really early this morning. I popped up my scanner like really early in the morning, like even in bed. Like I woke up like just stupid early and I couldn't go back to sleep. I look up at what's on the losers list, gainers list, and right away I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna have a nice little fun day with NIO here. It was down over 8%, down over 9% now, and it was down even more. Trying to build a bit of a bounce here right now temporarily. It seems like heading into the open. NIO, I don't know what the news is on this trade, Michael. I'm sure you did well on it as a pre-market short. Let's take a look. Benzinga Pro also is like so wonky lately. All right, let's see. Any news on NIO? I know though, a lot of the Chinese stocks are down big, and there's a bunch of stuff going on there, lockdowns and COVID numbers increasing there. All right, so it simply says NIO shares trading lower amid a report that total vehicle sales in China fell 11.7% in March after increasing 18.7% in February. I think there's more to it than that, but that also kind of stands out, right? So, hey, NIO down big off a relative gap down. This is technically, a little bar that dropped off here, but it's essentially a gap. Now, for right now at least, it continued to drop off. It's very tradable heading into the open. I was even just showing this more as a stock that we were kind of focused on from Friday, but hey, we'll take it here for this morning. I was going to get to it eventually, the NIO trade, right? All right. I know that we also had the PHIO stock, another one like BFRI that was on the top percent gainers list by the end of Friday at least. It kind of pulled back heading into the after hours, but it ended up dropping off much more this morning. But again, another one from Friday ended up popping, going into the late morning shortly after 11 o'clock. Got halted. You can never really trust the halts when a stock makes a flash pop and halt. You can't technically just kick your feet back and just hold your breath waiting for the perfect move. Now, did that happen here? Yeah. But that's why you need to focus on it at least, figure out where your levels are, if there's a steady trend to identify, and that's what happens here at least. It ended up just building a steady trend. It was more of like a grinder of a trade. It was like kind of like pushing up, then kind of consolidating, pushing up, then kind of consolidating. But it built the steady trend up off the lows, and then it was more so heading into like 2:30 when I normally do the afternoon meeting for all of us on YouTube and Facebook Live, and of course for all of us live inside the trading room. Hey, this ended up popping right in front of us right at that point. So we ended up putting it on our watch list from Friday afternoon, and from there ended up really continuing to take off and push higher. So hey, Not every trade could end up like the PHIO, but this was more of a gift than anything by the end of the afternoon. Again, though, top percent gainers list typically turns into top percent losers list the next day. So, for right now, I'm going to pass on this, putting it on the main watch list. But if it ends up popping shortly after the market opens, for Norman and Bonnie and Michael and, all of us just here, I would have no problem calling it out. Very liquid order book, tight spread. It was pushing up relatively quick compared to what it normally does on a day-to-day basis, but it was still more of like a level 2 stock. It wasn't level 5. So I wouldn't mind coming back to this if it shows a better move, but right now, not much. All right, folks, let's go right from top to bottom. Otherwise, time's already 9:10 and counting. I want to make sure that all of our students have enough time to prep their charts, get ready heading into the market open, more or less figure out where the big iceberg orders are prior to the opening bell. So, we have Hoth on the watch list already. We'll get back to that at least just to show, but we'll go across the percent gainers and losers list here to begin. All right, GNCA I kind of just skipped over. We're not really going to focus on the cheapies below $1 unless if it's like exploding right now. But IVDA, nice stock from pre-market, ended up popping prior to 8 o'clock. Then from there it dumped off. So ended up holding underneath at the time. The top 360. It ended up holding underneath an iceberg order that we had focused on earlier in pre-market off of 350 from there. Ended up beginning to show a nice bounce later on. You could see 275, perhaps 280 the bottom, then ended up beginning to make a nice push. Does look like a lot of volume just got filled after 9 o'clock. So let me jump back to level 4 on that. Let me jump back to book map here for the IVDA. All right, so it looks like a lot of volume got filled, not at the top, not even at where we had, an iceberg order off 29, but roughly off of 325, we ended up seeing a lot of volume get filled. So I would assume for that to be a pretty big resistance in particular heading into the open, 325 to be exact. A lot of buying came in off that level, but look at the reaction after. I don't like the reaction. That's not good. So, you want to make sure history could repeat itself in the sense of the break above 325, not in the sense of the reaction after. But you for right now, the IVDA, it's hard to not put this at least on our main list. Hopefully at some point this looks to make a better uptrend, better bounce or move up, or perhaps sooner than later, and it could retest that 325 shortly after the market does open. All right, we'll keep it going, folks. I want to make sure that we also have one piece of housekeeping as well. I should have mentioned this right from the top when I had mentioned that Fausto is not doing this morning meeting. I know that we have some new members joining us on YouTube as we continue to go. Market is closed this Friday, folks. Market is closed this Friday. I'll say that at the end. We'll say that all across this week, so you at least know. But CT will not be open Friday, as you can imagine. With that in mind, Good Friday, also Passover. But with that in mind, at least heading into Easter weekend, Friday market will be closed. All right, let's keep it going. IVDA, VERU already on our list. Let me just look back on that one for right now. Making a lower high, beginning to, try and pull back a bit further. It is shortable. It is shortable. Not stay right now, but if it fails to really make a big squeeze once the market does open, then perhaps that could be a better trade on the way down. All right, VNet, a little pop after 8:30, but doing jack right now for us, doing literally nothing. So I don't know if that's a buyout. Not going to care to check. AFMD for right now, it was a lot more interesting going into 8 o'clock. Then from there, it kind of stalled out, looking now kind of like that other trade, the VNet. It is shortable, if it craps out the other way, but I don't know. It's not really doing it for me right now. If it ends up making a pop or drop big move by the end of this meeting, I'll think otherwise. AIM, same thing. Popped going into 7 o'clock, 7:30 was looking pretty nice at first, but then even prior to 8, it started to pull back and lose its momentum on the way up. So with that, it's kind of tough to anticipate a continued move. I say this all the time when I do the afternoon meeting for all of us that are with me there. But when the volume dies off for a stock, and typically so does the stock, so does the stock itself. So volume died off here. Look at the end result. All right. What's this? BILI? BILI, one of the few Chinese stocks that are up right now, it seems like. Or no, HUYA I see as well. Hmm. Maybe I'm wrong on that assessment. I thought I saw a bunch more, Chinese stocks that were on the losers list, at least XPEV, but that could be in sympathy with NIO, perhaps. Billy, though, on the way up, moving up really nicely, at least earlier in pre-market, ended up exploding shortly after 6:30 from like 25.50 upwards to 28.50. Yeah, for right now, it's definitely one to watch for here. The Billy stock, BILI. Let me just take a quick look on Benzinga Pro. Don't mind just checking the news on this trade. All right. So Billy shares trading higher following a report that the Chinese government issued new game approvals. I do not know what that means. Chinese game stocks higher on report that China has issued new game approvals after a 9-month suspension. All right. Well, the last part of that I understand. Billy, and then there's another one, but it's not up at all really. FXI, and then one more that's in affiliation, NTES, but that one is. $101. It's up big, but the Billy trade much more within our price range. All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. BILI. Ooh, nice pop here. Bunch of volume getting filled right near the top though, off 28.50. So 28.50 I'd anticipate to be a big buying level once the market opens up. If you want to look for continuation, it's got to really clear there pretty nicely. All right, and I wasn't even looking, but NTES is literally right below Billy on the gainers list right there. I was skimming my Benzinga Pro when I added two and two together in that regard, but there you go. HUYA, interesting but spotty chart. Gonna skip over that for right now. GDS, same thing. All right, folks. And then there's really not much that's above that, 5% I ask of you at the end, right? And really not much. So I know the markets were kind of slumping off heading into the pre market this morning. I know that Bitcoin ended up dropping off going into Sunday, heading into, early Monday morning. We'll talk about that part heading into the afternoon. I'm now patient and waiting. But BCYC to top off the losers list here. Bicycle Therapeutics. I don't know about the company, but it's shortable. That's the part that does interest me, if anything. But the chart's really flat, so it's down big, yeah. But I'm sure when the market opens up, it's going to be like really liquid or really illiquid, really illiquid. Not a whole lot of volume on the order book for this trade, I'd imagine. So, I even want to skip over it for right now. I don't know, nothing really that appealing about that trade. Now, AT&T, more of a name brand stock, which honestly we try to avoid more of the name brand stocks at times. But for AT&T in particular, I know that there was some news that came out over the weekend, heading into the morning here at least. So I'll pull that up. Um, all right. So Deutsche Bank, who previously gave a company last week, I think it was a price target from 16 to 1. Well, Deutsche Bank on AT&T, they simply lowered their price target to 24. All right, well, that's still pretty high. Let's see what else we got here, though. It says AT&T shares trading following Discovery late Friday announced the closing of transaction to combine Warner Media with Discovery. Man, I feel like this has been going on forever. The AT&T and Discovery merger deal, or Warner Brothers, whatever you want to call it. I feel like that headline's been floating around for like a year and a half at this point. Jeez. All right. Well, ended up just completing, led to a big drop over the morning here on AT&T. I think there was also something to do with their dividend, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, big gap down essentially. It looked really flat up until 8 o'clock. Nice move up after. So for right now, I'm definitely more interested, at least in the AT&T trade compared to whatever this was, the BCYC. All right, NIO on the losers list. Got one of us saying NIO long on YouTube. It's tough to anticipate that right now, just given the drop off. I mean, if you're looking for a day trade, perhaps. I mean, if you're in already, you're off to a nice little start. But I got to check to see where my levels are on this trade. I ended up charting this and lining it up heading into the open. We ended up seeing a bunch of volume. I think like a 71,000 share print filled on the bid at 1810. So if it breaks back under 1810, not to guarantee a continued drop off, but if it breaks under and holds under 1810 and history repeats itself like that, I'd look for a short. So, watch 1810, watch 18 obviously as well, but 18, 1810, two price levels where we had a bunch of big selling earlier in pre-market. All right. Let's see. We got XPEV in sympathy with NIO dropping off. A little spottier chart. The LI trade, I think this one normally trades more volume day to day, if I'm not mistaken. This one also really spotty of a chart. Hey, if you do well on LI or XPEV day to day, more days out of the week than not, if you're following LI and if you do well on that trade, most of those trades, then I'm sure that you'd be more keen to follow it, right? But right now I like the NIO out of all of these that kind of are in the same sector, all these Chinese EV stocks. All right, folks, that's all you got here from me pretty much. Again, I want to make sure all of our students have enough time to prep and line up their iceberg order levels heading into the market open so that they're good to go. And then also really quick, again, just if you're joining us once more a little bit late right now, I made mention of it from earlier this morning, but markets are going to be closed this Friday. This Friday, markets will be closed, that being April 15th. All right, we'll continue to recite that at least throughout the week. All right, for Robert, Skip, Michael, Bonnie, Brian, Norman, we have Mark, John, all of us live inside the trading room. I'll be back on the sticks here in the coming moments for all of us on Facebook Live, YouTube. If you're interested in learning more, actually, we're going to be hosting a webinar coming tomorrow afternoon. You can see that just on the blue banner down below on the stream there. If you have any questions, though, about what we do here at Cyber Trading University, our call-outs, our live trading room, our classes, feel free to send over a quick email. When I do the afternoon meetings for Fausto, I always like to post my email here at the end. So, any questions that you have, feel more than free to shoot it on over to josh@c2trading.com. I'll be more than happy to help you out. For all of us, just otherwise, though, like I'd said, I'll be back on the mic here in the coming moments. Talk to you soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it